I am 77 years old today. When I look in the mirror, I see more than just the passage of time. I see a map of every mistake, every late night, and every hard-won victory etched into my skin. People often ask what I would change if I could go back, but that is the wrong question to ask. The right question is, what do I know now that could have saved me from 30 years of unnecessary, self-inflicted suffering? Most of the pain we experience in life isn't an inevitable part of the human condition. It is a byproduct of chasing things that don't matter while ignoring the things that do until it is far too late. I have spent 7 decades watching the world transform, yet human nature and the traps we set for ourselves remain exactly the same. If you give me just a few minutes of your focus, I want to hand you the keys to a life that doesn't just look successful on a screen, but feels peaceful in your soul. The first decade of pain I want to save you from is the paralyzing trap of perfectionism. I spent my 20s and 30s terrified of making a mistake, under the delusion that if I could just be perfect enough, the perfect spouse, the perfect professional, the perfect parent, I would be immune to criticism and failure. But looking back from the vantage point of 77, I can tell you that perfection is a cage, not a goal. It stops you from starting, and it makes every minor setback feel like a life sentence. My mistakes were actually the most productive parts of my life. They were the only times I actually learned anything of value. If you spend your life trying to avoid the mess, you end up with a very clean but very empty life. Stop waiting for the perfect time or the perfect plan. Start now, be willing to be messy, and learn to forgive yourself quickly. The years you spend agonizing over being right are years you will never get back. The second 30 years of pain comes from the myth of the arrival. We are conditioned to believe that happiness is a destination we reach once we hit a certain milestone. The house, the promotion, or the $1,000,000 account. I chased those milestones with a ferocity that cost me my health and my presence, only to realize far too late that the destination is a moving target. Every time I reached a goal, the goalpost moved. I spent 30 years living in the future, which meant I was essentially absent for 30 years of my own life. At 77, I don't remember the titles or the luxury purchases. I remember the way the light hit the kitchen table while I had coffee with a friend, and the sound of laughter in a house that was once far too small for us. Happiness is not a reward for your hard work. It is the quality of your attention while you are doing that work. Beyond the chase for success lies the heavy, invisible burden of unresolved conflict. One of my deepest regrets is the decades I spent holding on to grudges. I thought my anger was a weapon I was using against those who had hurt me, but I was the one drinking the poison every single day. Carrying resentment is like dragging a bag of heavy stones through a marathon. It doesn't hurt the person you are angry with, it only slows you down and wears out your own heart. Whether it is a family member, a former friend, or an old colleague, forgive them. Not because they necessarily deserve it, but because you deserve peace. I wasted years of emotional energy on people who didn't even remember my name. When you reach my age, you realize that the only person you were truly hurting by refusing to let go was the younger version of yourself who just wanted to feel light again. Finally, I want to save you from the slow-motion pain of neglected health. I am not just talking about gym routines or the latest diet trends. I'm talking about the reality that your body is the only home you truly have. I spent my middle years treating my body like a rental car, pushing it too hard, fueling it with stress, and ignoring the subtle warning signs it sent me. By the time I started listening, the damage was much harder to repair. At 77, my mobility is my greatest wealth. You do not realize that your ability to walk, to breathe deeply, and to move without pain is a luxury until it starts to fade. Invest in your physical well-being now, Not out of vanity, but out of respect for the 77-year-old version of you who wants to be able to pick up their grandkids. Don't wait for a health scare to start valuing your life. If I could leave you with one final thought, it is this. Life is remarkably short, yet it feels infinitely long while you are in the middle of a struggle. Don't sweat the small stuff, because when you reach the end, almost everything turns out to be small stuff. Love deeply, work with integrity, and don't be so afraid of the world. You have 30 years of potential pain ahead of you, or 30 years of wisdom. The choice is yours, and it starts with what you choose to value today.